Thank you very much for joining me on this Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. 3 areas we're watching out there. Of course, now a hurricane, Lisa. We've got another system out there and a developing system, or at least it will develop pretty soon. So we're going to get into all of those systems. Lots to cover. As I mentioned about a week ago, it would be a very active November, and it is. We are thinking of our friends in Belize. I broke down all the impacts in the previous video yesterday, and those still hold. So if you need extra details, I've got them in there. But as of now, again, the impact's already moving in. The hurricane warnings are up, all that stuff. And again, everyone's done with the preps and kind of just watching this thing as it rolls in. This will continue to move in as we work its way through the day. And then you see the track taking it toward, as you get toward the Gulf of Mexico, kind of the southern Gulf over toward the Bay of Campeche. Now, with that said, I don't expect a lot of development there. It's really going to get chewed up as it goes over land. I'll watch that. Guatemala, El Salvador, we could see some inland rain. Guatemala in particular, parts of Mexico for some inland rain. So watching that upwards of 125, 150 millimeters. Could see anywhere from 4-6 inches of rain. Some spots up to 10 inches, over 150 millimeters plus, where this is coming on shore. And you see the probability of tropical storm winds. So you see here, as this moves inland, it's going to weaken. And look in the Bay of Campeche. The probability right now of tropical storm force winds are anywhere from 5 to about 30% top. So that is super low. What that is helping to tell me is that, again, the forecast thinking on this as well is that it's just really going to weaken. There's not going to be a lot left over for it to really redevelop in the Gulf of Mexico. If this were earlier in the season, I'd be more concerned about that, but things are a little bit different later in the season in the environment, so not seeing that as a big issue, but I'll be watching that. Now, as we move forward, here's a look at Lisa, and there is Martin, now a hurricane. There's Bermuda. So Martin itself, a hurricane that will stay over the water. I'll watch that there. Not a threat for my friends up in Canada, but we've got these 2 hurricanes out there right now. So it is somewhat rare to have 2 named storms and named hurricanes at the exact same time in the tropics in November. And it's not only that, we've got these 2 systems, but a third area looks to develop. There's not a lot here now. I know we've seen some rain in parts of Grenada over toward Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, but this here, we're going to see a lot of moisture building. I was talking about this yesterday. A lot of rain that will flare up in the Eastern Caribbean. Regardless of development, we've got a lot of rain headed our way, and then whatever this is will kind of lift back to the north. I'm going to get into that in a second with the computer models, break these both down. Winds on this right now, we're looking at hurricane status as far as miles per hour, about 81. This stayed almost exactly on track over the last week with intensity. It just got to become a hurricane as it moves on shore. There was no rapid strengthening with this. I just wasn't seeing that with this system. And again, not going to see much in the way of any more strengthening because it's moving on shore. And you see all the models in good agreement. You see how they're kind of clustered up here? That's also telling me the models kind of lose this system. It really just falls apart. They just kind of curl up. It doesn't know where this system is because I do expect it to fall apart as it continues to work inland. So let's get to that, and then I'll get to that next system. Here is Belize, and again, this rolling on shore near Belize City. I read a comment, I wish I knew who it was from, but a good commenter mentioned that all commenters are good, that it doesn't matter the landfall point because, again, this is impacting all of Belize. And you look here, a little bit drier in the northern sections of Honduras, but that big flow of rain and storm. So, yeah, there's a landfall point with these things, but these are big systems. So that's why we had those bigger impacts, rain moving into parts of Mexico, too. And you see it here. So watching Mexico and Guatemala, some of the inland flooding, this is as soon as tomorrow. So you see how quickly it weakens. This is tomorrow afternoon, and then starting to watch a buildup of moisture as we get near Costa Rica, Panama, Nicaragua, buildup of rain there. Still some rain in parts of Honduras, but this does weaken very quickly. But again, some bad conditions working in right now with that landfalling hurricane. So Belize, the worst weather now into tonight. It'll wrap up very quickly. Not very quickly tonight, but the system will weaken a good deal as it moves inland tonight. But the flooding is going to be a concern as this moves on shore, and it does weaken. Honduras, overall better. Watching the rain bands, falls apart quickly tomorrow, as I said. And we're going to watch the inland flooding out of that. I'll monitor that for you. So we've got this system here, watching that. But here's the broader picture to show you system number 2. Now, this is later today. So watching, as I mentioned, in the southeastern Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, flare up of rain, and then Montserrat, St. Lucia, Antigua, and Barbuda. This is by the time we get into Friday, so a couple days from now. Look at this surge of moisture. Costa Rica, Panama, got some moisture coming in here, Suriname, Guyana, and that is all going to lift up to the north. So a couple big pockets of moisture that are going to start to feed to the north. So point being, heads up, we are going to have flooding in some spots. Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, possibility of flooding. The Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. This is by Sunday, and at this point, you see the rain that I was talking about. Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, we could be getting some of the rain. This continues, Dominica, over toward Guadeloupe, Martinique. This will bring a lot of moisture to the north. Then the Bahamas watching you. Something may try to develop, Turks and Caicos just off to the east. So a little area of low pressure, when you see the L, that's kind of a developing storm system. It's hard to tell how quickly it may try to get tropical in nature, but point being, we have the possibility of flooding in the eastern and parts of the central Caribbean. We'll see how this pans out for my friends in Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, obviously, see how this pans out across the ABC Islands. But flooding potential here, and then I need to see if something spins up, kind of heads back as we get into sometime next week. That's still a wait and see with that system. But you can see here a lot going on as we get out in time. And this goes with climatology. In November, typically we watch for development here, where we saw Lisa really flare up, and then near the Bahamas. And then sometimes you get things spitting out here. And that's where we have stuff now almost exactly. We've got Martin, we've got Lisa, and then I'm going to watch something that will try to kind of develop in here. So it fits with climatology. Still some warm water here. Sometimes you get old fronts that give some extra moisture in spots. So that's just kind of what you typically get in November. But usually we don't have this much development. Again, we've got 2 named hurricanes right now. The next name on the list is Nicole. If you're in Honduras and Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico, thinking of you with that possibility of flooding, likelihood, of course, over toward Belize, thinking of you in Ladyville, Belize City, over toward Hopkins. Please be safe. Thank you for your comments. We'll try to show you some love in the comments, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.